I can have sexy time now. For him, it's physical touch.
Don't call
so
it
it's
sexy time. That's so cringe.
sexy time.
I'm like,
Mommy
oh,
and
it's
daddy
inside
time.
of me right now. I'm Henny. Oh, sexy time.
Cringe.
Ooh. Oh.
I can't win with this man.
Let's
For
have some
him-
mommy daddy time now.
Oh, okay, I take it back.
Thank
then
you.
we can get nasty. Is that
Yes,
what you want?
thank you.
Anyway.
Thank you. Welcome to Playing House, a podcast about keeping your relationship sexy and secure. I am president of the Waffle House, Coulter Bouchard.
Oh my goodness. And I'm Dominique. And we are a real couple having real conversations, inviting you in on our weekly discussions.
And we've also been invited into someone else's house. The set is a little bit different. We will be joined by Jeena and Drue from Hey There Wilders, YouTube podcast, all over. They're taking over the internet. There's no internet left for anybody, including us. Parenting equity and the greatest vow renewal of all time, including a flash mob. Mm-hmm. That's intense.
But in the meantime, how you doing?
I'm doing good. We almost died.
We were
recording this in Athens, Georgia, and we almost died on the plane from Toronto to Atlanta. That was some turbulence.
That was the worst turbulence I've ever experienced in my life.
There were some dudes, they were lacrosse players and very much sounded like lacrosse players. It was like an episode of Letterkenny or Shoresy. They were like, oh yeah, but I've taken about 100 flights and that was the worst turbulence I've ever had, eh?
No, it was scary. There was screaming. There was vomiting.
The place smelled like a vomit fire at the end of the night.
Oh God. But we're here. And that was what was
Barely.
supposed to be a 2-hour flight ended up being like maybe 2.5.
Well, they tried to land 2 times and couldn't do it.
But
2
we're
aborted
here.
landings.
We're here on the ground. That is what matters.
And we will be walking back. I don't know. Can you plug it? Hold on. I'm going to plug it into Google Maps, right? I'm curious.
What is the
Yeah, because
what is
if
the
you were
walk
to
time?
if you were to walk home, I was going to walk home. How long would it be?
No, but that was absolutely scary. But what I ended up doing was I guess doom scrolling, is it? Or just like educating myself on TikTok.
14 days, by the way.
14
It's
days.
14 days.
Cool.
Or 4 days if you cycle.
That's what we'll do.
So we should
then,
get some bikes.
or a scooter. Trying to look through TikTok to understand like what is turbulence. Can it hurt you?
I Googled that.
Can it bring down a plane?
I Googled, has turbulence ever killed anybody?
And it's no. And if it's
I didn't have
not
the
no,
balls to
don't
look at
say
the answers.
it's because we have to get back on a plane to get
Yeah,
home.
maybe. We'll see. Oh no, the car won't start.
Yeah.
I can't find the key.
Our kid is in Toronto right now, so we need to get
With your
back
mom,
there.
who's retired and
So,
has lots of time.
Yeah, that was scary. But
Other
we're
than
here.
that, I mentioned it earlier, the Waffle House, bro. That is like, listen, that's like another country within another country.
Well, I was saying the Bow Wow song,
Chopped
do the
and
Bow Wow.
smothered
You
and
just don't know the way you move so fast. Whatever that song was called, I don't. Take You Home finally makes sense because there's a line. It goes, scattered, covered, smothered like hash browns. And I never knew that. And Natalia is here nodding. So we have
a producer today,
their
which is
producer
great.
that they're letting us use today. We're so thankful, but she's behind the camera nodding because she gets it. I never knew what that line was about. It's a Waffle House reference.
yeah. See, it's all coming together. You a big, you're in your early 20s, and Natalia, a big Bow Wow fan? Yeah, okay.
Yes.
I knew him when he was Bow Wow, but not when he was Lil Bow Wow. Okay, he was
so
a grown
you're late
man
to
at
the
that
game.
point.
You're late
so
to the game.
how you doing?
I'm good. I'm a little bit nervous because Nia, she's starting school in September.
Oh,
it's
we got to
only
register
January.
for kindergarten, and the school next to us is garbage.
So I show up to the daycare, and the daycare teacher, who's like her second mom, and I'm very aware of it. She loves her like her own child. She's like, I just found out that registration for kindergarten started yesterday. Have you started? And I said, what? It is January. She starts in September. It starts this week. And so sure enough, we look into it. The schools that you're interested in, they all seem to be full
Which,
already.
by the way, you have to go to the school that's closest to you because, for some weird reason,
based on your postal code,
the
zip
government's
code, what
like,
have
no,
you.
instead of just making sure every school's good, we're going to fund it with municipal, local property taxes.
Yeah, so if you were in a rich neighborhood, you're getting a great funded
You know what I mean?
school. But if you're not,
the school that I want to send her to it's got an 8 out of 10 ranking. It's a good school,
Okay.
one of the best in Ontario. And the one close to us, it's got a 3.7 or a 3.9.
Yeah.
I'm like,
and my friend, her son goes to went to that school at least, and he'd come home every day crying, being bullied, called the N-word. Her mom called the school and spoke to the principal. When the principal spoke to that parent, the parent of the child calling her son the N-word, the parent's like, well, if black people can say it, why can't my son say it?
right.
So
It's good to know that those people are making $100,000 and they are educating the youth. Love that.
And it's not isolated in this one school. It's happening everywhere. But I'm just saying, like, it runs rampant in this 3.7 school. Yeah.
Oof. And so you're trying to, like, apparently and allegedly for legal reasons, this is just a joke. You're like, can I use someone else's address? What if I arrange to rent someone's closet and I paid them, or like whatever, like the lowest bar for a legal residence is.
Oh my gosh.
And that's my new address.
That's what's on the
I live there now.
registration.
And I've just come, I'm chilling. I'm a guest. I'm using visitor parking
This
at
is
your
technically
house.
our address now.
And then you could get me off the deed to our house, leave me, take it all. I'm helping you out. I'm helping our child out. I'm father and husband of the year. You're welcome.
Thank you.
I want to be destitute. My hands look like this so that hers can look like that. Show your hands.
I'm not showing my dad.
You got good nails. You got your nails done.
Yeah, I paid for my nails.
We paid for your nails.
Fine.
Great nails. Love
Thank
the
you.
nails.
Should we get into the podcast?
Let's get into it. We are so excited to be, I want to say joined by, but we're joining them. We're in their home. We're sleeping in their guest house. We're using their guest toilet. There's a second toilet here. Did you notice that?
Let me just say, so we're in their Airbnb space.
Yeah.
One of the first guests.
The first guests.
Stocked the washroom with the most, when we arrived, Gina's like, oh yeah, we've stocked the washroom for you. You're good.
Lotion,
so yeah, I'm thinking, oh yeah, we're gonna have toothpaste.
soap.
Thank you so much. That's so kind. This morning I go and I open up. Why are there pattern products? There's body
Did
oils.
you say Tracy? That's Tracy Ellis Ross's. Yeah,
that's her hair company. I'm just like,
I
didn't even need to bring the lace front.
I thought you meant the the bottles were patterned. I'm like, well, yeah. I mean, like most things have shapes and colors.
No,
on
but
them.
even the way she's displayed it.
Yeah, it was
beautiful.
expert.
Just 10 out of 10.
Let's get
If
them
you're
on.
in Athens, you need to stay here.
Jeena and Drue from Hey There Wilders. And like I said a moment ago, just taking over the internet. We are so excited. And instead of like awkwardly, we're going to pull back the curtain here a little bit. Instead of like awkwardly going, all right, and now we're going to turn to them because they've been here the entire time. We're going to do a hard cut and let them join us now.
We're talking about parenting equity. Obviously, we're both parents, or two couples, I should say.
No, this is the whole thing now.
Yeah, no,
this is a commune. We're moving in together. We're not leaving.
So in my opinion, at least in our relationship, I've come to realize that equality is never going to be possible when it comes to raising our daughter. So I really try to strive for equity in particular. And in my opinion, how I try to differentiate the two is like equality is, it's always going to be 50-50. You're always going to be given the same amount of effort and that I'm giving as well. That's just not possible. I work from home, for example. You're out of the house every single day. So I'm the one who's going to be called if Nia needs to be picked up from daycare, for example.
Thank God.
Yeah, right. If there's an appointment, that's typically where you come in, right? So the equity is just making sure that like we're doing something that works for our position, which I think has worked really well for us.
Yeah, and I'm curious, like, Jeena, when we talk about equality, like you're never going to have 50% output, 50% output. But how do you make sure that the two of you have 50% input? Because like that is what you have control over, right?
I think it's really funny that you're asking this question now because that's probably one of the things we're truly working on in therapy. And like, because in the beginning of our marriage, it was we were doing things because it was like it was either financially we had to do it that way. So if I was staying at home, he was in nursing school and working a full-time job. It was really hard, not that he didn't try, but it was really hard for him to be able to help me out at home. So I had 2 toddlers and we were doing things out of necessity. We almost didn't have a choice. If I really wanted him to do well at school and work a full-time job to provide for our family, I had to pick it up a little bit more at home. Which, not to say that I felt like I had no choice. I know that a couple of times Drew's like, yeah, you can go to work. Like, I will support you in that. But I also know how much you want to be at home with our kids. And it was kind of like, I don't know what to do. I want to help out more. I maybe want to get away from the kids. But I also want this, like, certain life in the future. What am I willing to do so that we could have that in the future? Mm-hmm. So I was willing to put in a little bit extra. And so maybe I was doing 150 while he was doing 100. Not to say that he wasn't doing his part, but I had to do a little bit more so that way we could have that in the future. Mm-hmm. And as the years went on, I was still doing a lot. And I realized I was starting to have resentment. And then I started asking, maybe not nicely, I started asking Drue, like, I need more. I need you to help around more. I'm working now too. I'm starting to feel like it's 200 and you're only I'm doing 200. You're only doing 100. I need more. And we would go into therapy and I'm just like, I don't feel like Drue's doing his part. I'm asking things of him and I do not feel like I can trust him to be able to do the things that I'm asking. And that's really frustrating. And I don't want the idea of him just providing for us to be that's enough because I'm providing too. And why are you not seeing that as enough? And so I think with communication, we realized like, okay, maybe you were pretty naive of everything that was happening. You didn't realize like you weren't helping. You thought you were doing your part, but it did really take me talking to you. It should have been me talking to you and telling you what I needed. I really feel like you should have said or realized, which you do now know. I don't know what your take on everything is about this because we talked about it a bunch. But
letting you finish.
Well, I'm also curious, like, how do you receive this? Because I've been in a similar situation, and I think a lot of men have been in similar situations. I want to clarify, men in relationships where their partners are doing what Jeena's done and what Dominique has done, which is say like, hey, like, dude, you got to nut up
Step
here.
up,
I need not even some help. I need you to do your job.
Right.
We have made this child together. We are raising this child together. I need us to do this together. And it's a hit to the ego. So how did you receive that?
So yeah, as far as receiving it, like very defensive. Very defensive, takes a while, not understanding, not fully comprehending why. I mean, definitely feelings of like, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm doing what I need to do. I don't understand why you're getting so mad.
Yeah, I'm putting in the effort.
And then,
this should be enough, right?
Yeah.
And then Jeena didn't talk to me about it for a while. So like she said, she was coming off a little bit strong, which made it even worse because it made it even where I didn't even understand even more. Because I'm like, okay, I can understand you being a little angry or being like, hey, you need to do this. But where is this like really big anger coming from? Like and so if I could say my take on equity, I think in the beginning of our marriage, I know you said you think it's like 100, 150. I do think it was 100 and 100 equity in the beginning of our marriage because we were each doing what we needed to do for like our family to survive. And it's something we both agreed on.
I didn't say we didn't agree on it.
No, I know. But I think part of equity is what each partner agrees to as well. Right. And so in the beginning, like
a contract almost.
Yeah. Like, well,
like these are the terms and conditions.
Almost. But like if you talk with your partner and they're like, hey, I'm willing to stay home so you can go further your career and stuff like that. Like that discussion to me is part of the equity. Right. Now, I'm not saying you should agree to things that are like demeaning or abusive or anything like that. But as our relationship grew and we've been married 12 years, we didn't have a continual conversation of equity.
And maybe that's something that needs to happen, right? Like you need to reappraise.
Yeah, it really
sometimes.
does. In my mind, I was still going off our newlywed contract. I was like, I'm good to go. Like,
but that was because it was benefiting you.
With one kid, maybe, right? Like I was still doing the work that we had to do when we have one kid.
And now you have multiple children.
And now we have multiple children and our time's really split up. And I was just like, and Jeena has started working and stuff like that and not taking all of that into account. And so I do feel like in the beginning of our marriage, we were more equitable. And then as the years went on, you picked up more and more and eventually to the point that you're like, okay, this is too much. Like I'm burnt out. I've picked up so much, I'm burnt out. So now I need you to step up and I'm exhausted. And I'm like, I don't understand where this is coming from.
Right.
You know,
which I know
you signed this contract 12 years ago. What's the problem?
I do come on really
They
strong.
need to have terms.
Right.
I somewhat agree. I don't know. I felt like I was doing a lot more because I don't disagree. I definitely agree to it. And I don't even feel like I was like manipulated into agreeing with it. I definitely wanted to do it. And I definitely, that was like a choice that I made. And I felt like it was benefiting our family. And I wanted so much for our family. I wanted our future children to have so much. So I don't regret how we did it in the beginning. And I also don't regret, like, I'm just a person that when things bother me, I'm still going to keep pushing because I was hoping that you would eventually see and you didn't see. And so then so much resentment built up that's why I was so angry and frustrated. And I know our therapist has talked about it. Like maybe Jeena, like you could bring up certain things in a certain way because Drue is just a naturally defensive person. Does it mean that I can't be angry at him? Of course I can. I can be very angry. But if I'm really wanting my husband to listen to me, then I should be able to still express that I'm angry, but bring it to him in a way that I know he will want to listen, right? But does it also mean I have to do that 100% of the time? No. I should be able to express my emotion.
I mean, no, you shouldn't.
Did you want to strangle him? I won't call the cops.
But I just do feel like being able to express that, but also making sure that if you're really wanting change, be able to express things that your husband or your spouse will be able to listen to you in the way that they will need. And that was something that I needed to hear because I come off very strong and hard. And I do everything that way. When I start any businesses, how I even parent, I love really hard. And even when I'm frustrated, I am angry and I'm just like, and I know that's one of the things that you love about me, but it's also, it makes it hard when we're having conversations about certain things that you're just like, I have no idea where it's coming from because I let it build up. And that is something that I shouldn't do as well. That's something that I know that is a fault of mine, that if I had talked to him about it way earlier, I do feel like he would have made the change. Drew is the type of man that will make that change, but I kept hoping that he would see that and he didn't.
We need to meet people where they are, right?
Yeah.
And it's difficult because we create these kind of characters. We create these representations of our spouses and everybody in our lives, in our heads. And sometimes it feels like we've invented these narratives because we're piecing things together. What did you mean by that? And then you're kind of, your brain is naturally, and this is human instinct, we're just filling in the blanks.
Yeah.
And so you're not having like a tender, loving conversation with this person. It's almost like you're tweeting at them and going like, what's the most like concise, kind of like almost mean way that I can communicate with this person to just like get off your butt and do the work.
No, but
I don't know if you're trying to be mean though. I don't think I'm trying.
I don't think the intent is mean, but just the way it's coming out.
That's how it can feel,
Yeah.
right?
Right. I completely understand, Jeena. Absolutely.
Okay, with the look.
I'm passionate. And so I'm gonna love you passionately. And sometimes loving on you passionately also means yelling at you because you've been messing up. Like what? So when Coulter was going through treatment for cancer, it was me as like
a little sympathy maybe for the cancer.
This is not about sympathy.
Right.
This is about him not showing up at the end of the day. So like during that time, obviously, yes, you're in treatment. So I have to be the core parent. I have to take care of the household. I have to work full time. I have to do all that. Yes, and you need to focus on
And
surviving.
you brought me Dairy Queen.
Okay, like
I had like a Blizzard button next to my bed, and she would show up with like a brownie fudge explosion or whatever.
No, but yeah, give me my flowers too. But anyway,
Thanks for the Blizzard, Dominique.
but then we got to the point where like, okay, this is over with. Thank God. We need to transition to a new normal. And this is like post-pandemic, post-cancer, post all of this.
I remember that conversation.
But that transition never happened. So I understand when you're saying, we were in the newlywed contract still, but the transition to the new normal never happened. And then so I also get to a point where like we often have this discussion about, you see the dishes in the sink. I don't want to have to ask you to do the dishes.
Do you see the cast iron skillet that's been on the range for the last 2 weeks that's coated in scrambled egg because you don't use enough butter and you cook it way too hot?
It's not clean. Anyways, so I'll say, I don't want to tell you to do the dishes. I want you to want to do the dishes because you see them there. So it's also a matter of, I don't want to have to tell you that we need a new normal. I don't want to have to tell you, show up in this way. I want you to know this is a relationship and I have to show up and give that effort because I want this relationship to succeed. So yeah, you get to a point where you're just angry and passionate and love this person so much that it comes off as like anger, but it's like, no, I'm fighting for us.
And you also don't want to sound like the typical nagging wife, right?
Exactly.
And so you're trying not to complain all the time. Like I really, you know how much I don't like complaining or nagging you. It really doesn't feel good. But then you get to the point where like, I'm not going to do it. And then it like, oh my goodness, why do we always have to live like this? Why can't our house look like nobody lives lives in it? And it just, it's like you're trying to stay away from that, that view of being the nagging wife so much that you end up building it up. Like you feel that build up and then you end up being that way and you're like, I did not want to be like this. Why can't you see that I was really trying not to be like this? So I think it's like you said, like coming to you where you are, where it's just like hoping that your spouse will be able to see how much you're needing something, but also you're trying to be not that spouse who's always bugging them or telling them what they're doing wrong.
But it's also like, dudes, dudes complaining like, oh, my wife or my partner nags me a ton. It's like complaining that, oh, I really hate that my hand's always on fire, but I keep sticking it in the deep fryer.
Yeah.
Maybe someone can just save me from myself. And it's like, you do the dishes, you do the things that are you don't do them because like your spouse is asking you or nagging you to do them.
Yeah.
Just do them because this is your home.
Yeah.
You live here. You need to scrub the toilet. Those are your stains.
Oh, gosh.
Some of them are mine. Many of them are yours.
That is partly it's partly our fault too, because it's a matter of showing up and always doing the things that we want done. And so we're taking on that load. And instead of like holding our partners accountable for their load, it's like, well, I'm going to and like at the end of the day, we're Black women. We're going to do what needs to be done. We're going to show up for ourselves if we need to. And then if, like you said, get resentful in the end, like, well, why am I still putting in 150 when it should be a little bit more equitable than that, whether it's 70-30, what have you.
The math is
Do the
mathing,
math. Yeah, I have to stop for a second.
The math is mathing a little bit. But it's difficult because you want to you want to be always in this like loving kind of like warm relationship with your partner, but you also like, what are you doing to increase the temperature? What are you doing to make sure that like you're creating the space for your partner to be like, whether it's physically intimate with you, emotionally intimate with you, and instead you're just like, well, that place is a mess. It's pretty hard to get in the mood when you're doing that.
Oh yeah.
And aside from that, like it's just kind of hard to exist. It's like a million little mosquito bites when, okay, well that needs to be dusted and like that needs to be taken out. And has anyone taken the kids out of the house? They've had like 17 hours of screen time today. Like, can you work with me here on this? I'm trying to do some things. I need my time. You need your time. Like, how do you manage that? Especially running so many businesses, doing a podcast
because
together.
That's a pillow talk question. You hopped right into it. So we're going to transition to pillow talk. That was really good.
Remember to cut this.
Yeah, no, keep it in. So the next segment is called Pillow Talk, where we have more intimate conversations about our relationship, about how to keep the flame going at the end of the day. So the question is, in our relationship, when we want to have more intimate time, we try to serve each other's love languages. So mine is very much acts of service. So like when I know my daughter is in bed, that she's fed, her hair is washed, the house is clean, that's when I can transition and like I can have sexy time now. For him, it's physical touch.
Don't call it
so
sexy time. That's so cringe.
It's sexy time. It's
I'm like,
mommy and
it's
daddy
inside
time.
of me right now. I'm Henny. Oh, sexy time.
Cringe.
Ooh. Oh.
I can't win with this man.
Let's have some mommy daddy time now.
Oh, okay, I take it back.
Thank you.
we can get nasty. Is that what you want?
Thank you.
Anyway.
Thank you.
For him, it's physical touch, so obviously it's a little bit easier that way. But I'm wondering, for you all, you have 4 kids, 5 kids?
5 kids.
5 kids. So what is it, that transition like to come into a more intimate time in your relationship? And is it a transition?
I'm going to let you, I know our answers are different, so I'm going to let you go first.
Oh man. Let me think about this a second. I think the best way I could put it is, I don't know if, because we have everything that is going on, I don't know if we have clear cut transitions a ton.
Like a light switch.
Like it's not like, also I will put this in here. With having children, we do like co-sleep like the first year. The child is in our room.
Like in your bed with you.
Sometimes in the bed, sometimes in the crib.
But in our room.
But in the room. And so that makes things incredibly difficult. Because, when you're wanting to get nasty or sexy time, whatever it is.
No, we're not doing sexy time.
You look over and there's a little, baby infant there. Or
you're like, mood immediately
you start to cozy up and then it's time to breastfeed. And it's just like, oh, wait, I guess that child deserves to eat, He
said, I guess. Dad of the year over here.
Everyone knows how it is when you've been. So. Everyone knows how it is when you've like been in the moment and then you have to stop.
100%.
That's the most irritating thing in the world.
You're like, I'm leaking and not where you want me to.
So I think that's the first thing for us. It's really hard, I think, for us to have any kind of transition time when there's always a child there. And so what we've kind of do is, at least what I think we've done is get like babysitters, nannies, someone to come watch the kids so we can physically get away. And Jeena has let me know,
another state.
Yeah, Gina's
get
let
in
me
the
know
car,
like that's
let's
really,
drive.
really important to her. And it's taken me a while to get consistent with providing this. Like date nights, it's taken me a long time to get like consistent with providing that. But she said it best either last year or the year before. She said it probably the best that really clicked in my kind of primitive brain is like, okay, Drue, think about like last year. And if you think about how many times we went on a date night, are you okay with only having sex that many times? And I was like, how many times did we go dating? Once, twice? No.
Suddenly
No,
500
like,
dates.
The calendar clear.
That's not cool.
You're having dinner
So-
15 times a week.
yeah. So I'm like, all right, like, so like, I was like, okay, like that, it clicked and it's like, okay, that makes complete sense to me. Like that is how you have that transition. That is how you get in the mood. You have that alone time and love language of quality time.
My love language is
Stuff like
quality
that,
time.
so.
And so it doesn't even, I mean, he does not need to buy me anything. I don't like, I'm not a person that likes expensive things.
What's that like? Is it good?
It's nice.
What's your credit score?
I don't, and I kind of wish because it would be easier because I do know with having so many kids, trying to take away time from away from our kids to spend time sometimes is like maybe like, you know how they say time is money. It is really hard for us. Finding a very reliable babysitter, a babysitter that we trust. We're very particular about our babysitters, and we've only ever had. We can count how many different types of babysitters we've ever had for our children. Our babysitters have become like part of our family. That's how important they are to us. And it becomes really hard because not everybody's going to be willing to watch 5 kids. And our kids are great kids. I don't think we've ever had a babysitter who's like, I can never do this again. So we've never had...
running from the house like the end of Nightmare on Elm Street. Nancy trying to get away from Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
But when Drue finally clicked and realized like, okay, Jeena really needs quality time. That is how I'm going to get like where we're really going to be able to be intimate, but also connect the most. And so we take, I think usually 1 to 2 trips alone away from the kids for at least 3 days.
And this is annually.
Annually.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yep. And we also do a trip with the family. So with the kids, and we do that minimum once a year, but we now surpass that. We love traveling with our kids.
Amazing.
But we also do every other week, we do date nights. And it's funny because whenever we go to therapy and she's like, how did the week go? And like, we just had date night. And she's like, I can tell.
Like, I see the glow.
And she's like, Drue, do you realize like how much is really meaning to her? And he's like, yeah, I really can tell a difference now. And it's been one of the things that he's been consistent for the last, like, I feel like 2 years now, where we've been having date nights every other week. And I feel like, especially in the last like year, we've gotten the closest we have been in years because we're connecting in such a more intimate way. And it's just more of us just spending more quality time. It's not even more sexy time. It's just more quality time with each other. It means a lot. But we've also been having more sex because of that too.
Yeah.
And he recognized like, if I do this, this is going to lead to that. And it's also just, it's not like a tick for tack thing. Like if I do this, I'll get that. It's like, if I do this, I'll get that. But I also understand how much better we're doing emotionally together, that I feel like I can talk to her more. Like Drue's opened up more. Like Drue's a very reserved, it doesn't feel like it now, or it probably doesn't seem like that, but you are a very reserved person. You do not let a lot of people in. And a lot of people only get the jokester side of Drue. That has been really hard. Like, I guess I would say around the middle of our marriage, that I didn't feel like I was connecting with him because he was just doing the very surface level thing. And that's really hard when you're in marriage, when you have one person who's being very vulnerable and very intimate, and the other person is just going to be like surface level. And it was just because sometimes you got really comfortable thinking like we're good, that all of a sudden I was like, no, I need more from you. It feels very one-sided. I need more from you so we can be more intimate. And then Drue realizing, okay, I need more quality time. I need to let Jeena into my intimate thoughts. I don't care. She does not care how crazy it is. She's not going to think differently of me. And it's hard because it's like, I mean, you get to a certain part of your marriage and you just want to close up. You think we're good.
We're good.
We're
Yeah.
good. We've been married.
It's an autopilot at that point,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
You're like, we're
So
good.
long.
But then for me, it's just like, no, my parents are still married to this day.
How long?
And they've been married. I'm 30. How old am I, Drue?
34.
Yeah, I'm 34. And they're coasting. I don't know recently, like how things are with them, but as a teenager and as like a young middle schooler, even right after college, I knew they were just coasting. They were like living lives. They were roommates, I felt like. And I was like, I do not want that for me. And I've told you time and time again, I will get a divorce. And I think it would be better for me to be happy and not be in like a marriage that we're just roommates or loveless marriage. I do not feel like it will be beneficial for us to stay in a marriage just for the kids. I will not do something just for the kids. I think doing something for me will also be for the kids as well.
Well, and is it doing it for the kids, or is staying in a marriage that isn't necessarily working? Is that just like doing it for your ego?
I think maybe for the ego, but I do know that a lot of people know, like, let's think about it. We have so many statistics that talk about how children who have both parents do better, right? And you don't want to take that away. You also don't want to take away the thing that they've had almost all their lives. If you've been married for like since your child's been born, that is something that you don't want to take away, because there is some comfort in that. And so I don't feel like all people who stay in a marriage is not just for their ego. I do feel like a lot of people do it for their children because they don't want to take away something that their child has gotten used to.
I mean, and we've talked about this before, Jeena, you and I, that having children does add another level of commitment to the relationship.
Of course.
And so like that, like, if you don't have children, not saying that your like relationship isn't important or you can't have commitment to it, but there really is, like, there's another human being now included in your decision making,
or several more human beings,
or several more. And so, but while you were talking, I was just thinking about how you were saying the example that you've seen with your parents growing up and how they were coasting, how you didn't want that in your relationship. I realized I never got any of those examples when I was growing up, because my mom was married and divorced 5 times. And in between those divorces was back and forth with exes and stuff like that. And so she probably stayed with someone maybe like 2 years and then it's the next person kind of thing. So I never got to see past like the honeymoon. Like for us, it was like honeymoon phase.
Just infatuation.
And then really bad. Like honeymoon phase and really bad and gone. And so I think for me, during some of our marriage, I thought that's how marriages were okay to be or should
that's what
be.
you
Or
see,
that's
right?
what like what do you do at this point? Like, well, you coast. Like you've gone through hard things. Like you're here together. Like this is just a period of life. Now you wait for the kids to get out of the house. And then I know you'll have this big thing where like you're trying to reconnect and stuff like that. Because that's at least what I've seen in movies.
Absolutely.
Like in movies, I see like empty nesters and now they're trying to figure it out. And they've grown so separate that now they're trying, not in my head, I wasn't thinking, well, they could have worked on that earlier. I was just thinking, that's a natural course for married people, that you get married, have this honeymoon phase, you have kids, kind of live these separate lives. When the kids leave the house, now you guys can figure out how to reconnect.
It's like leaving a car
like
in a garage for 10 years. You haven't started it, you haven't maintained it. And it's like, okay, now it's like 20 below. So I got to cold start this thing. And also there's been no maintenance. And I kind of forgot how to drive a little bit because I was getting Ubers for, do you know what I mean? Like it's difficult to like transition from that.
But it doesn't have to be that way. I think that's the thing. Like, even though Drew says, oh, that's what I saw in the movies. That's what I hear from other couples. And I thought it was so typical, but it really doesn't have to be that way. And so when I was telling Drew, if you are thinking that's how it's going to be, I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with that. You find someone who is okay with that, because that's not me. I really want to be in like a very loving relationship, and it's consistently always like that, not little bits and pieces, or it'll be okay in the very end. Because we recently had someone really close to us who was just like, I really thought that my spouse would have to die and then I would have to be married again for me to, like, she loved her spouse so much that she wanted to stay with them, but she's like, but then I'll finally feel that love after they pass away and then I'll get remarried again.
You got one
and I was
life.
like, that made me so sad. I mean, things are better because they've gone through therapy and now they're all over each other. I don't know if you noticed.
I love that.
How they're all over each other. They are. And it's so cute. It made me so happy that she found that. But it also made me feel really sad for her that she thought like, oh, I'll get that when my spouse died, because she loved her spouse so much that she was willing to stay with them. But also it really felt really sad for her that she felt like, oh, I'll get that sometime, just not right now because I need to stick it through. And I was like, Drue, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that at all. I don't want to wait. I wanted this to be beneficial for both of us. I want us to be both in love. And if you don't want to continue working at it and you want to work on it later on when the kids are away or when we're empty nesters, that's cool. You can find somebody else to do that.
Text me and let me know.
And I mean, after I got over my ego and defensiveness, I said, I'm here for you, baby. I'm here for you. I'll work on it.
But you're getting emotional right now.
Yeah, because it's really important. Like, a lot of people really want to keep saying like, hey, I'm doing this for the kids. I'm going to stay. We're going to stay together for the kids. And then they end up losing parts of themselves and they're not happy. And then, I mean, I know some people are okay with it, but that's not what I wanted. I didn't have a very good I don't have a good relationship with my mom. And so I never got like the words like, I love you, let's hang out, doing all that stuff. And so a lot of the times I felt really lonely as a teenager or as a college student. So then when I was like, hey, when I find that person, and I was really, really picky to find, like, I dated a lot of guys and then I was like, oh, I'm good. Like, you're not a person. Yeah. So I dated a lot of guys to find that one person that I felt like would treat me in a way like I never had to feel lonely, that I felt like they would be there for me, be
Your
a great dad.
person.
Yeah, my safe person. That when I started feeling like I was losing part of that, I was like, that's not what I wanted. I wanted for us both connect, both be in love, show that love to our kids so that they could also find a partner that would also show them that when I started feeling like we were losing that, I was like, no, I'm good. I would rather find it and then making sure like maybe learn from this mistake. I mean, it wasn't a mistake because we're working on it. But I was like, if this does not work out, then I will learn from this and then find what I need, because I don't want that lonely feeling, because it felt very lonely not having a parent support me and like feel like be there and support me. That I was like, okay, then I'm going to search for what I need and I'm going to find what I need in a spouse, and then I can have what I need. But if that person's not willing to put in the work, then what am I doing? What is it? How is it serving us or me?
Absolutely. I similar to Drue, I grew up with not seeing that love with my parents. My mom always say that like this house is not a revolving door, because my dad would be in and out of the house. Like they would every Friday they'd have a fight. He'd be gone for the weekend and he'd come back Sunday night
after the cool off period.
Right. And like that was every week since I was like 6 years old until he was finally gone when I was like 12. Wow. So similar to you, I don't have a relationship with my dad either. And so that built a defense mechanism in me where like, okay, especially with like any boy I was dating and eventually the man I married, it was like, I'm ready. Like, should something go wrong, should you need to feel the need to leave, I'm ready. I got me at the end of the day.
That's actually tattooed on her stomach. Yeah. So anytime she's approaching me, I can see. You should have it on your back as well, so that when you're walking away, it's a reminder. Well, and you know, you get into relationships and you grow up and you kind of, the expectations you have are birthed from your childhood, literally, right? Like you see how your parents interact. And my parents have a very different relationship than your parents had. Like my parents have been married I think my mom married my dad when she was 11 and he was 12 and a half maybe. No, but like they got married young. I think my mom was 19 or 20. My dad was 20 or 21. And they've been married for almost 40 years now. And so growing up, and like are each other's best friends, and I think need some other friends sometimes too. And so my parents, like similar to what you were saying, Jeena, about the two of you, like every year going away, my parents would always like go on a trip every year, and every couple of years they would take us along, and I'm sure they had more fun on the trip they went on their own. But they never fought. Like they would have arguments in front of my sister and I. But there was never any yelling in my house, ever. There was never any name calling. My mom would never call my dad stupid. I mean, like if he told a dumb joke maybe, and it was probably deserved. She should have said worse, to be honest. But that's how I'm coming into our relationship and just assuming like, well, no, it just like it looks easy. But also like my parents have worked at it, right? They owned a restaurant together for 20 years. They met at a restaurant. Like it's a very high stress environment. And so they've always been able to handle stress really well. And I didn't see the work that went into that. I didn't see the inner machinations of that. Machinations, whatever. And so when Dominique and I, in the first couple of years of our relationship and certainly dating, I'm like, why does this feel hard sometimes? Why can't it, like my parents make it look easy? I don't know.
Do you wish your parents would have explained to you, showing you how hard it was, like the work that went behind it?
we never, again, it comes back to like creating these images of people, right? We want our parents to be certain people, and it's just never going to happen. Your parents can be, you know, and by every metric, I have amazing parents. I love my parents. Shout out Lisa and Pierre. I wish my parents were more vulnerable. I wish my parents took more time to communicate that. And so that's something that like I've been working on a lot in therapy and not like passing that on. I'm getting emotional now. Not passing on to my child. So like making sure that if Dominique and I are arguing, and that's very evident, not pretending like, oh no, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. Going like, mommy and daddy, just like, we're having an argument right now and we will get over it and we will work together. And sometimes people just need some time alone.
Yeah, we've had those conversations with our kids. I actually had a conversation with our oldest Panda, and he was just talking about why him and his sisters cannot stop fighting. And I was like, have you noticed like mom and dad fight? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, do you know that the more you spend time with someone, it's just like probability. You're just gonna have a higher probability of fighting with them. But it also means like you're two different people. Your sisters are very different from you. You guys have different like hobbies. You guys think differently. You have different interests, and like you're never going to, even though you have the same exact mom and dad, you're living in the same home. You're not the same person, and so you guys are going to have disagreements. But it doesn't mean that you don't love that person. If you learn how to do it in a respectful way, you learn how to do it in a loving way, that is just a way of being able to show like passion or how you really feel strongly about something, but you can argue in a way that is very loving and respectful. And he ended up realizing that, I mean, he still picks on his sisters, but he also knows like my sisters loved me and I loved them. And he also doesn't fear when me and you fight. He notices it. And he's had a couple of times where he's like, I'm sorry, you and dad are having a tough time today. Please come to us. And he'll like rub my back. And this is hard for a preteen because it's like a,
and then he charges you $200 for the therapy session. He's like, I take Venmo.
But he's not fearful of it anymore. And he also knows that because that's one of my big things. I'm not okay with us cussing each other. I'm not okay with us like degrading each other.
Derogatory terms.
Hard to take those back. There's no control Z for that, right?
And so our kids have noticed how the way we argue, and even we hear them argue between each other, where it's whenever our daughter, Cal, she's like, I don't like what you're doing, and she'll walk away, cry, and come back, and she'll use her sibling's full name, like, I'm really unhappy.
Using the gubby.
She'll be like, I'm really unhappy and really disappointed in the way you treated me.
Wow.
And I feel like that is unfair. Walk away, cry even more, come back, and it's like she's getting the energy to say what she needs to say or thinking about what she needs to say, but come back and say in a way, because she's not name calling. None of our kids, take it back, Panda. His name calling is like saying his sister's name wrong. He'll say it wrong on purpose, and I still count that as name calling because he's doing it in a way to be maliciously
annoying. More to be annoying. Like, I'm annoyed. You're going to be annoyed.
But I do like the way that our kids argue because I feel like it's very evident on how we argue.
Oh wow.
To the name thing though, my sister's name is Alexandra. Well, her nickname is Lexi, and that's what she goes by. But I would call her Alexandra to piss her off. And then I would call her, and this is like, I'm like 13. I think this is the funniest thing in the world. I would call her Alexandrugs, which like, not even clever, not funny. But, my God.
He was born that. That's what we've learned.
Here's the knockout combo. That, and also we had, you know how you have like a random switch and it powers an outlet instead of a light?
Yeah.
In my house growing up, that outlet was the internet modem. And so I would wait until she was like really into something. And this is dial-up internet days. So like you get kicked off, it's like 9 hours before you're back on. And I'd flip the switch, and it would take a second for her to notice. And you would just hear the shrieking of
happiness.
The joy from the story.
True brother, like right there.
Yes.
Like I remember that day, and I remember how pissed off I made my sister. That made me feel so good. That's what our oldest does, and I don't understand it at all. I don't understand it.
Our oldest daughter is starting to do it a little bit now too.
It's because of retaliation. I don't think she enjoys it.
No.
Do you think she enjoys it?
Out of enjoyment the other. I had to stop her like 3 times in 1 hour. Cal would come up and be like, she'd just be looking around like kind of like, oh. And I'm like, what's going on? She's like, Badger hit all my stuff. I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, I had my unicorn pony and it was just walking down the forest and I turned around to grab the fairy. And when I turned back, the unicorn pony was gone. And I see Badger just sitting back there.
That's a lot of work, though.
And I was like,
come up with a crappy nickname and turn off the internet. Way easier. It's 2 seconds. Hiding stuff, you gotta like, oh, put it over there. It's like he's cleaning her room for her, right?
I think what makes it so funny for her is she doesn't hide it in a good, like a great place. It's just like right above her head.
Yeah.
And like if she just looks up, she's gonna see it, and that's why she's snickering like she's just right there.
But even the way, like, you know, that you're teaching your kids, like the relationship that you were teaching your kids, and they're very young, and you know, we all want our kids to find partners that love them, and we want healthy relationships. We want the same healthy relationships for ourselves. We want our children to experience that. And so, you know, getting back to the question for this segment, how do you like turn off that switch, and how do you go from parenting mode to like being like intimate partners, right? We're teaching our kids, but we're also trying to teach ourselves and trying to like undo some of the, not necessarily, well, in a lot of cases, damage and trauma that our parents have done. But even like in my case, I wouldn't say trauma. I would say trying to have better communication. And so we're kind of like, we're parenting ourselves always, but we're also, it's this dual kind of role, right?
Yeah. Like, I think that's so beautiful what you said, that like you see that their arguments reflect your arguments, because my arguments with my partner, with my sisters,
what do they look like?
100% reflected what I learned from my parents, and they were nasty. They're like, as in our arguments, or the way I approached them at least, wasn't like, I'm going for the jugular. Like, you're going to hear from me and you're going to feel this.
Dropping a nuke.
Because how dare you make me feel anything but joy. Like, you're going to catch it now. And like, that is just so toxic. So to hear
it's
that
very,
that's
very
what you're
toxic.
passing down. Yeah.
Because I think in the end, I realized whatever I say, I cannot take back. And I'm also like, people will laugh, right? But I'm a Cancer, and I know I would remember everything Drew says. And if I were to say something and Drew would remember it forever, that feels very sad to me.
Oh, wow.
It feels very sad to think like he would, even if things were good, that would still be in the very back of his head. And that idea of like that, I don't want that.
And we've all done it, right? We've all said things that you're like, okay, I definitely wish I could take that back.
Yeah.
And like, what was I feeling in that moment? Contextualizing it a little bit, but also we lose context as time goes on. We also invent context as time goes on, because like I said earlier about filling in the pieces, the human memory is so it's so fallible, right?
Yeah.
It's like when they try to get witness descriptions and they're like, the guy had like a tattoo of a bird, I think, and they're like, no, he didn't. That. But maybe walk around with body cams, and then you can, and then that'll remind Drew wearing a body cam will remind you, I got to be nice to this guy because this is admissible in court one day.
Oh, I mean, you know, I think that would work, but maybe it's not even like because you're saying like the words, but I think it's maybe even the emotion, or like you know how you're in a fight, you may not even remember all the things that were said. Actually, I know that we do not, because we've played back arguments with our therapist, and we would go line by line on how things went, and then it would be completely different, and then I'd be like, oh yeah, that did happen. Oh, you're right, that was the one, and I totally forgot it. And so it's not really about exactly what happened. It's more about like the feeling you felt during that time.
That's
right?
Maya Angelou. She said you won't remember, this is not verbatim, but basically you won't remember everything that people say to you, but you will remember how they make you feel. Absolutely.
So I think, you know, we could, I guess, wear body cams and stuff like that. But
that might be expensive. It sounds like just like having a healthy relationship, which is what you're doing, is a little more affordable. But
a little bit.
Well, I mean, because the more we got into it, the more the words at the end of the day don't matter. It's the meaning behind them and stuff like because I'm a very like analytical, literal person,
so
and very definitely when like I'm stressed, like I key in on every single word that's being said and how it's said and how I'm going to respond to it, and how like I get very defensive is what it is. And so in therapy, like I could recite like every word, like, no, you said this, so I said this, and because I said that, you said this, and when you said that, I said this. And she said, at the end of the day, like, does that really matter?
You're trying to win.
Yeah.
Right?
Does it like matter? Because like you're going to get into the semantics of it.
Right.
You know, and what you need to pull back and say, like, well, how is your spouse feeling or partner
Right.
feeling? How are you feeling in that moment?
But we want to make sure that we're not seen as the villain. And like, if we can trust that the other person, if we can trust that we both have the same goal, which is attacking the problem instead of each other, we don't have to worry. Well, I want you to know that I reacted like this because you said this. If we're both, and it's so hard to do. Like, it's so easy for me to say, oh, just do this. Anytime you say just in front of everything.
Oh, yeah.
It's already,
Just whatever. Just make more money.
Yeah.
But if we can get to this vulnerable, trusting place where, and this is the goal with any healthy marriage, where I just want us both to be happy, and I want my spouse to feel loved and accepted and have the space to feel soft, right? That's a big thing with us, like making the space for Dominique specifically to feel soft. Then it doesn't need to be I did this because of that. It's like, well, how did you feel? How did I feel? And why are we not giving each other the benefit of the doubt?
Right.
And why are we not prioritizing, why are we not valuing our spouse's feelings as much as we're valuing our own?
It was so hard to do. That's why.
So let's just stop.
Let's just
Stop. I hate you so much. We should get divorced. It's terrible.
When you said just make more money, just do that. I realized too, like even making more money doesn't even make things better.
Oh my God, no.
Like I don't even know if it makes things worse, but it definitely does not make things better. And a lot of
Some
people,
things better.
no,
Sure, your
no.
bills are
When you're
paid.
like, I can get the good cheese at the supermarket. This is great.
I mean, if you
So I
like
think-
cheese that much,
So that's a good point, but I do think money in a relationship makes it harder in the aspect of you could be more independent of each other. Whether it's just one spouse being able to be independent of the other or both being able to be independent. And you kind of have you can have weird power dynamics with
Especially
more money.
men. We talked about this in our last
Yes.
episode, or maybe it was episode 8, where a lot of dudes like, oh, well, my wife makes more money than me, or my girlfriend makes more money than me. And I know some people have dissuaded their female partners from getting a promotion or getting a new job because they will make more money than them. And suddenly it's, well, what's my worth then? Which gets back to, I mean, ask yourself the real question there. What am I actually bringing to the table as the man that I'm so threatened that suddenly I have no worth if my partner's making more money, which, by the way, is your collective money.
Yeah.
but then I guess that would talk to if the couple is truly having collective money, because not all couples do put everything together. Because we're
Ideas, Gene, I swear to God.
Let's hear this.
we actually, it's our money. We're very competitive. We both have our own businesses, and every year I love to who made more money. And the last couple of years, it's been me. But I truly love how if we're making the decision, it's not like, oh, okay, well, my money, or I only made this much, so I can't do whatever.
Yeah.
It's all goes in one account, and we do the bills and whatever, and then we make decisions together on all of our finance, like all of our financial purchases that. Even though I like us to be competitive, because it's also that push I need to continue to make more money. So it's not more about making the money. It's more about just finding that motivation.
Right.
But I do feel like if not all couples are putting in the same kind of account, or they don't see it as our money, then it may feel really weird for the male spouse, right, to feel like I'm not worthy now, because if he's always viewed it as my money, that's the issue right there.
Yes,
if he's always viewed it as my money and she's making less, but all of a sudden she's making more, well, then is it really my money? And that may be why he may have a hard time with her wanting to get a promotion and get paid more, because he's always viewed it as she's helping me, or she's helping us. It's not really she's supporting me or supporting us, but I'm truly the one that's doing it all.
Yeah.
And I think that might be the issue right there, because we've never had that issue.
But I think that's what it is. I think more money just complicates it because it brings into more questions. And if you're not having the communication that you need, and that whole talk we had about equity, if the equity in the relationship changes, but you don't talk about it, or it doesn't change, but it should, and you don't have those discussions and stuff like that, then it creates more problems.
We check the weather every day. We check the weather every single day before you leave the house. Why don't we do the same? Why don't we have the same check-in on our marriages? How you feeling?
Do you guys have check-ins?
Not as often as we check the weather, but
I mean, I think this podcast kind of acts as that for us.
Okay.
we've monetized our relationship and it's improved it.
And we
And
like it. But going into business together has forced us to have financial check-ins, emotional check-ins. Just we have to dedicate a day a week at least to go over, this is what the week's going to look like. I'm not going to be here for this day. I'm not going to be available this day,
shared
for
calendar.
example. Exactly. So, and even at the top of every podcast, we go through like our weekly check-in, like, how are you feeling? And it's not that only happens at this time, but it does, like, it forces us to think that way as well, that we do need to check in with each other. Is it a daily thing? I think when he comes home from work, we kind of sit down like, how are you feeling? Like, talk to me on a real level.
And sometimes it's a longer conversation. And sometimes it's like, like, this is what my day looks like. I get up at 7 o'clock. I get our daughter ready. Like, it's really important to me because I don't see her that much in the evening, that we have breakfast together. And she wants to make pancakes every day. And you can't have pancakes every day. So we do
Yes, you can.
we do protein pancakes every second day. But we always eat the same thing. Okay, wipe the look off of your face. Come on. Okay. I've had the maple
Give
syrup in
that
this
baby girl
country. How dare you?
pancakes every single day.
And
Add some sprinkles.
we color and we we get into the car and we'll sing songs together. And she's obsessed with the 1997 Hercules soundtrack, which banger after banger
I'm
after
liking
banger.
her more and more than
I know. It's great. And then, we go to daycare and it's not, I see a lot of parents, and this is not me judging. Their other parents are not my concern.
Yeah.
I am, and you are my concern, our parenting. And I like to sit with my daughter for a couple of minutes. And
you also have the privilege of the time to do
I
so,
do.
right? Like,
Very
some of
true.
the parents are dropping
Very
and they need to
true.
run.
The rush.
Yeah.
because I don't have to be at work until 2:00, right? I do a live radio show and I have to be there at 2. We're on the air from 3 to 7. And so that's another thing. I don't see there's broad swaths of the day. I'm not seeing my wife and
Right.
child. I come home. I try to get home as early as I can. It's important for me to to sing her some songs and to read her a book and finish bath time if I'm home in time. But like, that's it. And then sometimes I got 3-4 hours of work to do.
Yeah.
And then it's midnight. I get to bed. You're sleeping, and it's like, hey, how you doing? And you're like, what? There's a burglar? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
huh?
right. So that transition often doesn't happen for us. It's straight from like your daddy in the morning, then your culture on the radio in the day, then you come home.
Then I'm a different kind of daddy when I get home.
Well, that's the hope, right? That's the hope. But sometimes when you get home, you're daddy to Nia all over again. And then by the time you're done all that, your work culture again, and it's midnight, and it's time to start all over again.
You know what it's like, right? You work together, you live together, you parent together. You were friends before anything, right? Maybe a stalker, apparently and allegedly. I don't know. It's not my business, but I'll dial 911 and you let me know when I can hit the second one. And so it's difficult when you have that buildup. It's like, if you go to the gym regularly and suddenly you don't for a couple of days, or you're eating well and you don't for a couple of days, or whatever, right? You're studying for, studying your nursing exams and all that stuff. You know what it's like? You take a week off of studying, you're on break or whatever, you get back and you're like, oh, this is like a lot harder and more difficult and less fun than it was.
You're out of practice.
I know we don't have check-ins every day, but when we were really trying hard, like, because we were trying to repair like the emotional connection that we had lost, we did do check-ins for a really long time every single day.
And what did that look like?
Oh man, we'd ask how we were feeling. Well, at first you want to talk about just your day, like, oh, how was your day, right?
Carolyn accounting, microwaving broccoli in the office again.
But then that's hard because a lot of people, for a lot of couples, that's where it stops, right? And they think that's like emotional connection. And
cursory.
It's not. It's just telling you what happened during their day,
right,
but not telling you how you felt or what is something that made you feel sad or what something that, so those are the parts that I like. But I'm also a person, because Drue went really long without like initiating a lot of the conversations, that I like Drue to bring them up or start the check-ins. And our therapist was kind of like, do you notice why, or like, do you realize why Jeena wants you to initiate them? It's not because she doesn't care, but because she really feels more like you care, or you're wanting to initiate it. It means a little bit more. And so Drue will kind of ask me like, well, how are you feeling? Like, are you okay? Is there anything like that happened? Or he'll bring up something that was maybe hard for him or he's been thinking about. And those are my favorite parts of the check-ins. And now
you can see him, like, you can hear the gears going for a second, right? He's buffering and you're like, this is going to be good. All right.
But now I think our check-ins are not as frequent as they were when we're really trying to reconnect again. And now I feel like every 2 weeks, every 2 weeks, maybe once a week, it's somewhere in between there. And he's been bringing them up a little bit more. I've been bringing them up as well, because now I feel more vulnerable to feel like, okay, I feel like he's actually trying. And now I'll bring up up more check-ins than I did in the very beginning because I was kind of like, I wanted to see the work that he was going to put in. And I really, truly enjoy them because now I just feel like I'm that much more connected with Drue. And I, of course, see all the goofiness that he's thinking throughout his head. And sometimes I'm like, oh my goodness, I did sign up for this, right? But then also too in the very end, I'm like, but I did sign up for this. Happily, like I like hearing all the crazy thoughts that he has through his mind because you were really afraid to share a lot of it because you're like, this like seems weird or she's not gonna want to hear this, and then you realize I do want to hear it. And even if I'm like saying, Drue, really, come on, that's crazy, and but you see the smiles on my face and you know that I want to hear it because I've expressed to you like I want to hear that. And he tells me all of his crazy ideas, all of his crazy thoughts, everything. And now I do feel like we're in a such better place because even like lately we've been talking about even harder parts of like things that we've been kind of like keeping very low
Buried
underneath.
trauma.
Yeah. And that has been really, really nice because I feel that even though it's really hard to hear, I do feel way more connected with you.
Wow.
And vulnerability is sexy, right? That's like, you know, when, and it's such a cliche in movies, but like makeup sex, it doesn't have to be after a fight. It can be after like a really, and I think almost should be after like a really emotional, vulnerable conversation where you have not even like an emotional purge, because that feels like you're kind of dumping on the other person or venting, but like when you're able to like work through something with the other person and know that like, you're not going to judge me. You're going to give me the space to work through like a half-baked thought that I have maybe, or like maybe inspire me, like give me a take that I hadn't even considered.
That's our transition.
Okay.
We cry and then we have love. We make love.
Okay, well, it makes it sound like
That's what you just described.
I've got a crying phase.
We get vulnerable and then that's our transition.
I'm like, baby, you're so wet. And I'm talking about her eyes. I'm like, whoa, this is great. I love this.
See, I don't like makeup sex at all. That's like the time when Drue's like, yeah, baby, like, do you need a hug? I'm like, no.
He starts the arguments naked. He's like, all right, let's get through this.
Sadly, that has happened.
You're like, I feel threatened and vaguely aroused. Let's see where this is going.
Like, okay, I got a bucket list. This has to be checked off. Let's go.
A naked fight? I see a lot of those downtown, trust me. Usually involving a broken beer bottle. But this is the segment of the show we take, and we've been doing this lately. We've been taking your voice notes, so you can email them, info@coultertalks.com. You can also DM us on Instagram. And this one, I believe, it's so nice, by the way, having a producer. Someone,
Shout out to Natalia. Yeah.
Zero air horn this episode, maybe for the best. Hashtag air horn army. A lot of people love that. But this one is from Gabby.
How do you keep the fire and love going in your marriage? I just feel like I've seen way too many marriages, the older I get, really start to fizzle in terms of love, and seeing couples essentially fall out of love and stay each other just for the sake of being parents and the legality of it. So, long story short, if you want to delete all that, the question is, how do you prioritize love and like positive emotion in your relationship?
How do I prioritize love between the two of us in our relationship? Because it's so easy to do.
You were going to say it's been so long.
I was gonna say, it's so
Since
easy
I've loved this man.
to do with a toddler, with the child that I birthed, for example. But it's different. I'm not gonna say it's harder to love you, but it's harder to prioritize it because I have to show up for my kid. I have to show up for my job. And then kind of what you were saying earlier, like it becomes a point where you're coasting with your partner because like you're there, we're good. Do I have to put in extra effort in order for us to remain good? And the answer is yes. Like just because we're having a good time doesn't mean there's not going to be a valley coming up, right? So ways that I try to prioritize that, I don't think I'm good at that. I don't do it intentionally. I often have to get to a point where you're calling me out and you say to me like, Dom, like I don't feel prioritized.
Your stress manifests physically. And I think that's the case for a lot of people.
Yes.
Where you don't even want to, I'll go like, hey, like you look like you are made of concrete right now. Can I rub your shoulders? Can I rub you will always take a foot rub. It does not matter what.
100%.
But like a back rub where I can see like you really carry it in your shoulders. Like they're up here at your ears. Let's lower those a little bit. And so it's almost like somatic for you, where it has that physical manifestation. And so it's working on that. It's noticing, and we all need to do this, right? Make sure you're drinking water. Make sure you're not clenching your jaw. Make sure you're lowering your, like, it's a lot of that.
Posture check moment.
It's also kind of like if you want to be in a better mood, force yourself to smile. And it's this weird connection with your brain where like, well, you're suddenly a little bit happier, or at least you're putting yourself in a frame where you can be happy. And I think maybe it's the same with you. And if you just lower your shoulders and like,
if I just lower my shoulders, we will have sex more often. That's
exactly.
how I'm receiving.
Wow.
If you are aware of how you feel, then you can begin to address those things. And it's not, you can't necessarily do those things immediately, but you can, you're aware of it and you can go like, well, what do I need to do to get out of this?
I'm a huge introvert, one, but two, I also remove myself from situations when I'm stressed out. I need to be alone and I need to be heads down.
We're both good at that.
Fixing that issue. So if I'm stressed out, like you're saying, whether it's work, the kid, what have you.
Me talking.
Whether it's
during a 2-hour
voice.
car ride. Whether it's having headphones on in my own podcast.
Then I have to, first of all, I fixate on that issue until it's fixed. And so that often deprioritizes our relationship because that's what's going well. That's a thing that can coast for a little while. And often I don't ever switch that mindset to go like, okay, it's time to take this off of autopilot. It's time to like put in the effort again.
But I like that you were just aware of the fact that you're like, I don't think I'm very good at prioritizing. That's important to know because sometimes just recognizing that you are not, or you are doing something, or you're not great at something is like a good first step. Because if you're thinking everything is fine, then when someone's coming to you and like, hey, I need this, and you're thinking, I thought I was doing good. You're having the other spouse is having to do that much extra work to show you that you're not, which is we've had to deal with that. And so I think that's awesome that you're able to recognize that because now if culture's saying something, then you actually can hear it because you're like, oh yeah, I know I do that. All right, you're right, baby. Let's work on it, or I'll do better.
But it's also up to me to come to meet Dominique where she is, and I mentioned that earlier. How does Dominique need to be communicated with? Because me going like, lower your GD shoulders, you're giving me some spooky vibes right now. Right? Not going to go well. But if I bring you some water and if I like put my hand on your back, not even rub the shoulders yet, but like put my hand on your back and go like, hey, do you have time to like breathe with me?
Don't tell her to drink water. Just bring her some water.
There you go. Don't say.
I sound like a monster if I creep into the room slowly. How do y'all prioritize love in your relationship?
And keep it alive.
I was thinking about how I did it myself because I feel some connection with not always being the most aware of if I'm prioritizing and then realize I'm not prioritizing. But what I've done lately, or I know in the past, is like, I feel like, and speaking of what she's saying, she said there's a difference the longer you're married or in longer term relationships, which means she's seen really good times in the beginning of the relationship.
Peaks and valleys,
And there's fire and there's the honeymoon phase. Like everyone talks about that. And so there are times that I have thought I don't think I've told you this. I've thought to myself, like, I'm going to pretend for like the next week or so, maybe that like either like me and Jeena are still dating.
Oh,
like
wow.
We're back
That's
dating.
so key.
Or that like, what if she left me tomorrow? What would I need to do today to show her like I
Drain
love
the
her
bank
this
account,
day?
change the locks, get a
I'm
lawyer.
just saying,
Number one.
Wait a minute, was that the week you brought me flowers?
Yeah.
That's so
and
sweet.
so I brought you flowers like 2 or 3 times in 1 week and tried to be extra cuddly.
By the
and
way,
like,
so it was our 9th anniversary a couple weeks ago. And I called the florist and I got like a couple. I wanted to get 9 dozen roses and they're like, that'll be $700. And I'm like, I will take 2 dozen roses, please. And I brought them home and Dominique loved them. And she was like, also, I hate grocery store flowers.
do.
And I was like, wow.
Really?
Well, I could have
do.
saved myself some money there.
No, but he got it from a florist, so like it was an extra effort. My second love language is gifts, so
I think they might be tied for one.
That's amazing.
So like, I mean, at like our 10-year anniversary, I wanted to be like, okay, I want to like, we've been married a long time now, like almost a decade. I want to do something that like almost reboots, restarts us and gets us going. So hired a flash mob. Like I planned like this
That's
for
amazing.
like
Went
6 to 8 months. Like I got Gina's family to come up. She didn't know. And they held up like the sign, "Marry Me." And,
He did.
we got a custom song. Like we customized the song for you, Disney songs that
I love
led
Disney.
up to it. and all
Including
of that
Hercules.
stuff. You know, and then we ended up being the first couple. This is a fun fact. We're the first couple ever to be married on Wonder of the Seas.
Yeah.
So
Royal
what's
Caribbean
that?
Cruise.
Royal Caribbean.
Caribbean.
Oh, wow.
Had just come out with their Wonder of the Seas cruise, and we were the first couple to be married on that.
That's
cruise ship.
wild.
And so it was pretty amazing.
Well, no, anything I do now, like, I might as well do nothing. Bro, you're getting grocery store flowers at this point.
Right,
Okay?
marry me and fireworks now. Like that's the standard. Wow.
Hot air balloon, you know?
Okay, could you dial it down a little?
Drew
Don't
is a
know.
huge romantic.
Curling? What if you
hear that.
curled like her name?
curling
was?
is
Like,
back.
They heard we're from Canada. They're like, you guys like have curling licenses,
Not me,
right?
it's been all Drew.
You know, curling, right?
Don't try to put it on us. It's been him. But yeah, no, Drew's a huge romantic, which is really nice because I find it like it's like this corny, cringy, but it's like I secretly love it. I smirk. I like will tell people, and then I will just be like, Drew, that was like so crazy, and I'll tell my friends, do you know what Drew did? And I'm like, and he knows it, and I'll like just like because I love to just roast Drew. It's just like our love language, right? I love to roast him, but I hope I express it. But like I really do love it when you do those things because I told him too. I think it was somewhere between our like a couple years ago, maybe even a little bit more. But I was like, I don't like it when you only bring flowers when like we've had a fight. I don't want to associate flowers with like a fight. I don't like that. I'd rather you talk it out with me and let's chat. And then when things are good, then like maybe get me flowers. So the fact that because he was doing like the whole romance thing and bringing me flowers and like
Duress, almost. The sniper dot on his head. 2,000 roses, please.
But when you brought it, I was really excited, and I was like, "Oh, we're not fighting right now. Like, this is a great thing. He's listening to me." But I didn't even know like the behind the scenes of like why he was doing that because it really means a lot to me. I don't like associating flowers with a fight. I know that a lot of people, other couples do that, and that's fine for them. But for me, it just feels not right. It doesn't feel right for me. I just like I'd rather when we're fighting, I want to work it out. I want to talk more.
You want to get to the issue and work out the issue. You don't want. You feel like you don't want the Band-Aid. You feel like the flowers are the Band-Aid. Like,
the Band-Aid does
let's
nothing.
cover this up and move on.
Right.
Amputate the leg, get a new one.
Yeah. I want to know why we had to amputate the leg. I want to know why we're fighting because then I feel like then we're that much closer to not fighting about it in the future. Because a lot of couples do want to just like put the Band-Aid and like have the makeup sex. That's why I don't like makeup sex because I feel like a lot of times if you have makeup sex, it's kind of like, okay, everything is good now. Like, right? We're good. We had sex. And then you feel like, okay, I'm still really angry about this, but I feel like I can't even bring it up again because we kind of just made up. But I also don't feel like we've come to the resolution on why we were even fighting. And I truly don't want to fight again. So I want to know underneath why we even got to this point. And so that's why I never liked the flowers because the flowers was kind of like an indicator like everything was fixed. It was not. I don't like makeup sex because I feel like it kind of pushes you because when you're becoming physically intimate, it's like it's a lot, right? It connects you in a way. And sometimes at least for me, it became a point where it's like, I don't know how angry I am. It kind of feels almost ridiculous. And I knew I didn't feel ridiculous or knew why we were fighting wasn't ridiculous, but it felt almost ridiculous to try to bring it up. But I knew it was important to, but I felt like I couldn't.
Sure. I understand that.
It's kind of like to keep the intimacy alive and I hate the word spice, but to keep the spice alive, you need to continue working on the conditions that create the space for it. It's like you need to buy all the ingredients. How do you keep cake in the fridge or how do you keep cake in your home? It's like, well, you have to keep buying the ingredients for cake. You have to keep making the cake.
And so the cake is what in this example?
Spice, intimacy. I don't know.
The cake is spicy.
Spice? Why? Food is sex for you. There seems to be a theme.
Listen. You're eating, right?
You are.
You could be too.
I loved what Drew said about those prompts. Like, I think that is because, like, mentioning, like, Jeena, you were saying that he's a huge romantic. That's something that comes up every so often, right? That's not something you necessarily prioritize every single day, every single week. So you reminding yourself, if I'm going to lose her tomorrow, what am I going to do today? Like, that should be framed beside your bed just to remind you, like, earn this person every single day. It's not that I need to deserve
You've
you, for
earned
example,
me.
but like you need to earn
like
your
that.
partner. You need to work and keep your partnership. And I think that's such a cool reminder that I just received from you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You listen to this podcast. That's how you keep it alive. This has been such a pleasure having you two here and welcoming us into your home. And this has been amazing. Jeena and Drue from Hey There Wilders, and list the other 19 businesses you have
Oh
together.
my goodness. No, I mean, you can find us on like Hey There Wilders on TikTok, and then on Instagram, Jeena Wilder, and it's just those two. We also have our other podcast, Hey There Parenthood, where we talk about a lot of the same things that you guys do, parenting and romance and relationships. And then also
We have our YouTube with just our daily lives, and that's Hey There Wilders on YouTube.
and so you guys can like find us there. But I mean, we have all our businesses, but it feels like too much. It feels weird to even list them all.
And they took us to Waffle House last night.
Oh my goodness, that was awesome.
Chick-fil-A this morning.
It was waffling. The Waffle House was waffling. Let me tell you that. What a joy. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Thank you guys.
Thank you guys for having us.